You'll understand why. Okay, let me pull this up. All right, so you are here probably for the Europe 2025 trip. Is there anybody who's a junior right now, or a sophomore, or a freshman? Raise your hand just to get a general idea of the room. Okay, in which case you might possibly also be interested in our Japan trip next year. But I was talking to your dad, and he said you just went there. So, all right, so in Europe, and in summer of 2025, we're going to go to Europe. We are going to Italy. We're going to land in Rome and spend a few days there, and then travel to Florence, spend some time there. There's a little map on your packet where you can kind of like see the layout. Then we'll travel to Pisa, see the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and then into France and the south of France. And if you don't have a packet with color pages, you can grab one. That for me will be new. You see the photo right here. This is the south of France. And then we're going to go through the French countryside from the south to the center of France to Paris, okay? So, there you go. You came to the meeting. That is this slide, so good job. My name, again, is Mr. Robinson, and again, I've been teaching for 18 years. In terms of these trips I've done, it is hard to count, but I'm going to say somewhere between like 12 and 15 trips if you count. I did a lot of East Coast trips, like with students to New York City and Washington, D.C., and then this will be my 5th or 6th international trip, including we've done it the last 2 summers. I was asked before how big our groups typically are. 2 summers ago was right after COVID, and our group was 55 students. We had 2 buses. It was very large, but it was awesome to have that many people go. And I wondered if that was going to be the new normal, but it fell off a lot. I think the COVID demand was fierce. And then it kind of fell down, and we had 24, something like that, travel with us 2 months ago. And then here we are. We have about 5 or 6 kids signed up right now for this trip. So, other teachers that are going, Mr. Knight, sorry, he wasn't feeling super good, so he couldn't be here tonight. And Mr. Porchot, I know some of you guys have Mr. Knight and Mr. Porchot. Porchot also, he has like a 2-hour drive home. And so I gave him permission. You don't have to come to the meeting. It's okay. You can get a head start on getting home. And then I introduce you to Mrs. Ryder. So our trip dates we're looking at June 9th to the 18th. I'm going to ask you guys' permission if I can add a day, but we'll talk more about that later, possibly to the 19th. And I have mapped this out specifically so that you can go to school. Let's say you're a junior. You need to be there until your last day of school, of course. And then this would be like the Monday after that last week of school. So you probably finish up on a Thursday, I'm guessing. And then this is like the following Monday. And if you graduate, well, you'll be graduated even sooner than everybody else. This also should give you enough time to come back and still go to summer school. I try to plug the dates in perfectly so that if you needed, some of you guys work ahead and you go to summer school, you can still get back and go to summer school if you're not a senior. Can I see show of hands in the room? Who's a senior? Okay, so it's a majority of senior travelers. And a lot of us are senior teachers. Me and Mr. Porchot are senior teachers. I know Ms. Ryder has a lot of seniors too. So we have, a remind that possibly you've joined a Google Classroom that is not important right now. That's for later. We have this website, ERHS Travel Club, and if you go to it, the yellow flyer has the web address, but that's like a bunch of links related to the trip, including how to sign up for the trip. That's where you would want to go. So if you see the yellow flyer, look for that tiny URL address. You could circle it. When you leave here and you're like, what am I supposed to do? That's the place you want to go to. It'll be a little Google Doc of links, especially for how to sign up with the trip. So the company that I travel with is ACIS. Anyone ever do international travel with the school before? Show of hands. The most popular company is EF Tours. And I've traveled with them too. And I don't want to say anything mean, but like in my opinion, having experienced both, and my wife has experienced both too, there's a significant quality increase with ACIS. And I'm pretty, I'm kind of picky. I want nice hotel rooms. I want good meals. And they have nicer hotel rooms, in my opinion, better hotel location, and better dinners especially than EF Tours. And I think, the price is about, 10% more than EF Tours, but I think the benefits are much greater. And I don't just say that because I could go to EF just fine. I really like ACIS a lot. And I'll talk about, what makes them special. So our hotels will have a good location. For instance, when we just went to Paris, you go on the balcony, you're looking at right, Chris? You're looking at the Eiffel Tower on your balcony. I'll probably refer to Chris a lot because he's the only one in the room who traveled with me 2 months ago. to confirm. The dinners were pretty good quality too. I've been with EF Tours and sometimes had less than stellar meals, and so it was one of my things. And I searched other companies and I found this one. I've been really happy with them. They're very large too. They're a well-known company. If you search, they're a top 2 of student travel company. Everything that we're going to do is included in the expenses pretty much, with the exception of lunch. So lunch a lot of times is during a sort of a free time of all right, here are your choices. There's restaurant, go with your friends, get some shopping done. You can't leave this area, stay right here, and we'll meet back here in 3 hours. So lunch is the only thing that's kind of independent. Otherwise, breakfast is included. I think every breakfast we've ever had has been all you can eat breakfast. And then the dinners are included as well. Obviously all the airfare and the train and the museum and the buses and all that stuff is included. We also have a tour manager who's with us the entire time. I'm going to talk more about her specifically. Her name is Libby, and Libby, Chris, will be working with us again. I'm super excited. She's such a sweetheart. If you want to just sign in on a piece of paper, that'd be great. And you could grab whatever flyers if you don't have them already. I'm going to show you some pictures from past trips. I'll try not to bore you too much, but just to give you an idea of what student travel looks like with me. You see me and my wife here. Here's Mr. Knight. This is a group from 2 years ago, and this is something that we will see on this trip. This is Napoleon's tomb behind us. This is not something you're going to see, but we went to a salt mine, in Salzburg, Austria, and you get to go underground and explore the salt mine. All of these little side excursions are included on our trip. Sometimes we'll have a local guide. This man was in Munich, Germany, and he joined us for the day to talk about his town. Sometimes places require, you go to Munich, they say you must have our guide. You can't have anyone else talk about Munich. They have to be from here. They have rules, and so luckily they hire really good guides to give us an explanation. Here's a castle that we saw. Some other teachers that travel with us. We're going to see this site. This is Montmartre in Paris. In my opinion, one of the coolest things in Paris that you might miss if you don't really have an itinerary set. This is where all the artists hung out, in the 1920s, and writers like Hemingway and F. Scott Fitzgerald and painters. And me and my wife agreed when we go, we're going to buy a painting, so that we have something to remember that little. It's a very special, really unique area. We'll have one of our most special dinners here, where we'll have escargot. You can try escargot if you want to. This is just the boys being silly at a bus stop. We had an hour-long bus stop, so they got out, and there was a sort of a beach set up somewhere, and volleyball nets and stuff, so they were just tanning. This is me eating escargot at the restaurant I just mentioned. Best meal of the trip. It was fantastic. This is just an appetizer, so you don't have to have the escargot, but one of the things I do when I'm traveling with students is I create a challenges list to try to check off, I want you to try this. And it's 100, it's probably more than 100 things, 200 things, just to try to get them out of their comfort zone, competing with each other. Well, I tried escargot. Did you try frog legs? I'm going to try frog legs. Just to kind of make it fun. Or take a picture, with one of those Buckingham Palace guards, whatever it might be. Something to mark off the list. This is us in Paris. We did a boat rental in Switzerland. This is us at Versailles. The adult chaperones on the larger trip. We travel by bus and we'll travel by high-speed train. These are student pictures that they sent me that they took. Back of the bus, the cool kids in the back of the bus. This is that free time for lunch and for shopping. And that is why I do encourage, sorry, the mouse is acting a little weird. I do encourage students to have a certain maturity level because I don't want us to be holding hands together for the entire day. And to be clear, we spend a lot of time together. We're going to museums together. We've got the headsets on and the guide is talking to us. But we'll reach a point Christopher can say that, lunchtime will come and we'll say, all right, now this is your 2.5 hours. This is your 3 hours. You wanted your I Love Paris shirt. We're in a shopping district right here. I want you to explore it. Now, to be clear, they can never be alone. I think the students treasure that free time more than even going to the Louvre, they like the shopping and the independence. But I want to make sure that you are aware with transparency that there is a certain maturity level that I want to have on the trip where they can be trusted and they're not going to go get into trouble. And nobody ever has. I've traveled with hundreds of kids and everything's just fine. But I need you to know that I want them to feel a little that independence. I want them to feel, I don't want to say discomfort, but get taken out of their comfort zone and grow up a little bit. Again, they can never be alone. I like groups to be 3 or bigger. A lot of times they just end up in their roommate groups. And they do get to pick who they room with if they know who's going. If they don't have a friend going, I'll help them pick a room that suits them. While we're talking about rooms, everybody gets their own bed. I've heard of other tours where when I took kids to the East Coast, they shared a bed, which I thought was always kind of odd from an educational travel point of view, but there'll be no bed sharing. Everybody gets their own bed, which is nice. The rooms are in sometimes 2 and sometimes 3. It just depends on the hotel and how they have it set up. You can feel free to interrupt me if you say this or say that. Again, they're just pictures. We're going to the top of a mountain in Switzerland. This is the boat cruise. This is a high-speed train. I know that we're going to take a high-speed train at some point to go up into Paris. And you got kids sleeping and they're traveling almost 200 miles an hour, which is pretty cool. This is us at dinner and just the talking point of how amazing our dinners are. Super fantastic. Take a look at this lady right here. This is Libby. And we're going to see her again later. She is so amazing. I insist on having her every time I travel. You'll get to watch a little video from her. And we will see the Eiffel Tower. We will take a riverboat cruise. This is us on a riverboat cruise going down the river in Paris, the Seine. And we will go to the Louvre, and you can see the works of art, the Mona Lisa. This is at Versailles, King Louis's palace, which the palace is cool, but his backyard is cooler. And this is what's in his backyard. This is they call it the gardens, but it's more than gardens. It's like a forest, and there is gardens too, but there are boat rentals. We're going to rent bikes, hopefully. This is what I wanted to pitch to you guys because I looked at the itinerary and I realized they don't have us going to Versailles. So what I would like to do to this trip is I would like to add one more day. And I would like to take it from June 18th instead to June 19th because Paris in 2 days is just not doing Paris. Paris is my favorite city in the world. I never get sick of going back to it. It's amazing. It's going to knock your socks off. It's going to blow you away. 2 days is not doing Paris enough justice, don't you think? You need more time. And then Versailles is not on the itinerary this year. And I think that Versailles is too cool to miss out on. So I would like to add a day where we spend half a day at Versailles and go to some of the other locations that we might have missed out on. I reached out to the company and they said it'd be another $300. So I'm kind of just going to make the judgment call that I think we're going to do that. So whatever price you see, plus $300, I'm going to make this 10-day trip an 11-day trip, okay? Let's talk about price while we're talking about price. It is a little bit eye-popping, the price. I've been traveling for 20 years with students. I used to go to DC for $2,000, now a DC East Coast trip is $4,000. There's a class on campus doing the trip, friends of mine, $4,000 for 5 nights. For 5 nights, okay? I'm asking for, I think I can say less than 6 with the day added for 11 days. So the value, I think the value is there. It is just a lot, I understand, to spend, it's a lot of money and it's not lost on me. And I fight to lower the price. The price is actually lower than it's supposed to be because I'm always emailing them I haven't had my meeting yet. Can you give me a discount or something? So the price is what it is until October 1st, by the way. And then the price is going to go up a little bit. Student pictures on the boat at Versailles. This is the gardens of Versailles. And this is just this is the very beginning of the gardens. I'm going to take the students exploring. We go down here. This is where we do bike rentals. We have lunch over here. I take the kids on an excursion to Marie Antoinette's cottage, which I'll probably talk about in a second. There it is. I just have to tell the parents, guys, I think this story is too cool. If you don't know, Versailles is this really opulent, crazy palace built by King Louis XIV. You might have heard about King Louis XVI, and he got his head cut off, and the people rose up against him, and they killed his wife, Marie Antoinette. Well, they were so wealthy and so rich that Marie was bored. This is before she got her head cut off. And she told Louis, I want you to build me I want to pretend like I'm poor. I want to pretend to be a commoner. Build me a cottage village off to the side. And that's where she would spend her days. And I tell the kids she was make-believing poverty. She was cosplaying being poor, but the Disney version of poverty, where everything's, milking goats and stuff. And I think, did you happen to make your way out there when you went? Yeah, I don't know if everybody goes, but I try to say, come with me so we can check out this very cool, because it's not easy to find. And it's just super beautiful, charming. This is the village. In fact, on the last trip, I had 2 friends of mine on the trip, and he proposed to her right there, because he said, what's the best point to do it on? I said, you got to do it at the village of Versailles. So that's him proposing. This is us before a dinner. Sometimes parents go. Parents are welcome to go if they want to. I know that that's a whole discussion with you and your son or your daughter, but I am open to it. You have crepes. Again, pictures of the Eiffel Tower. We travel by subway. Never have I ever asked kids to travel by subway without me. We're always together. And it's like the most stressful time for a teacher because we're always like, everybody in, the doors are going to shut. You have 4 seconds, like go, go, go. And it's just very organized, and we keep a head count. We're constantly checking. So our adult to child ratio is 6 to 1. And so for every 6 students, there is an adult. And we have little groups like my 6, come check in. We're all here, good. Her 6, she gives me the thumbs up. We got all of our 6. So we're constantly making sure that everybody's there. But we do travel by subway, and it's a good experience. And I'm even thinking more so with the next trip, really, teaching kids, like we're on this line right here. How could we get back? What could we do? Really involving them in the navigation process because they're going to graduate high school. They're going to do this on their own. And I want them to kind of wear that hat for a minute and like be an adult. Traveling the streets. This is one of our dinners at a hotel in Switzerland. We have dinners together. And then this is the most recent trip. You might even see faces that you recognize on there. Like I said, Chris is in the room right there, still rocking the Vans cap. I like it. We went to London, and we went to Paris, and we went to Amsterdam. Part of my logic when signing up for the trip, I always think about 2 locations that are really going to interest the students, and then one that's like a hidden gem that I want to see. And a lot of times they come back, and they like the hidden gem the most, because I kind of knew too. So this last trip, a lot of them like Amsterdam the best. And the trip before that, a lot of them liked Switzerland the best. But that was never the reason they signed. They wanted Paris. They wanted London. They wanted the headlining places. And on this trip, for me, it's the south of France. I think it's going to be really special. The beaches in the south of France, I've never seen them myself. I'm super excited to see it. We saw Wicked in London. And this is, that's an older photo. This is our group here, just at a random park in Paris, stretching our feet, we got crepes and ice cream. And we picnicked under the shade of the trees, and it was very nice. While we were there, it was I forget what year, 75th anniversary of D-Day or something. I got to do the math. But Joe Biden was in Paris, and all the leaders of Europe were in Paris. We took this photo, and Biden was there 2 hours later, like laying down flowers and stuff, honoring D-Day, which was super neat. And the kids get to see that connection with like, oh, wow, like this place is pretty important. This is our favorite meal on the last trip. I think it's my favorite meal. We ate at an Indonesian restaurant because Amsterdam has a strong connection with Indonesia, and the food was fantastic. Again, it's basically all you can eat, just really delicious stuff. I'm like a dinner, like food snob. If I'm going to go to Paris, don't be giving me no budget. I want like a really nice meal. So the company knows that they try to set me up at places that will make me happy. They're like, what did you think of this? Did you like it? Yes, I did. Good job. And they'll tell me, wait till the last night. That's going to be really good, And that was our last meal that we had there. As I said, this is a different picture of that same location where we're going to have the escargot. And I think almost everybody in the group had escargot on this last trip. And a boat cruise in Amsterdam. And I think this is my last picture of our group in Amsterdam. So you see the size difference, a little bit of a smaller group here. If I had to guess, we'll probably have a group like this size. I'm aiming for around 25 people. All right, so let's talk about our upcoming trip. Again, we arrived by plane into Rome, and then you can follow the map. This is exactly on your color handout. I'll read these things now just because I might miss it, but what is included with what you're paying for? The round trip flights, of course. And I'll show you how to pick your seats and stuff as we get closer to departure. Daily breakfast and daily dinner, okay? Our hotels, our tour manager who never leaves my side. Libby is with us from the moment we land at the airport until the moment we leave from the other airport. And she's always there, and she's incredible. And she makes sure that if anything goes wrong, this is what I love about her, it'll even be not that big of a deal, like something that wasn't her fault. And, but a bus that wasn't ready for 20 minutes, and then she'll call the company, he's really mad. You need to give him something. Oh, then we'll go bowling because Libby made it happen. She really fights for us and makes sure that we're super happy. And I love Libby to death. Let's see, what do I want to mention from here? Sometimes we'll get little headsets to wear when we're in a loud place like the Louvre so that someone can talk to us and we can still hear everything they're saying about the art. We're going to see Rome with a local tour guide, probably required by the Italian government. We're going to see the Vatican, which is the headquarters for the Catholic Church. And you get to see, my mind is blank, the Sistine Chapel, the famous Sistine Chapel, and the painted ceiling, and the hands of God almost touching Adam and all that. St. Peter's Basilica. the Colosseum in Rome, where they had the gladiator battles, which is perfect timing because Gladiator 2 is coming out in a couple months, and I'm excited. If you haven't seen Gladiator 1, you should watch it. It's a good movie. And then Florence with the local tour guide, Pisa, and the Leaning Tower. We're going to have a free bike rental in Nice, the beaches at Nice. And this is where even I'm murky. This is the south of France, and I think these are leftover Roman monuments at the south of France because the Roman Empire was quite large and expanded into France. We're going to see Paris with a guide, the Louvre, and we're going to do that boat ride that I talked about and go to the top of the Eiffel Tower. I'm going to introduce you now to Libby, and you get to hear her little 3-minute hello, welcome.
Buongiorno tutti and bonjour tout le monde. What a thrill and pleasure it is to be thinking about an adventure with Eleanor Roosevelt again in 2025. I've had that immense pleasure to travel with you twice already. And what I love about the way Mr. Robinson puts these trips together is the wonderful preparation, the fact that when you get to Europe, we'll hit the ground and be ready for the best life-changing adventure. Now, this year, 2025, is the most incredible year to visit Rome because it's the Holy Year. It only happens every 25 years, and it means that all the treasuries and all the doors that you wouldn't otherwise be able to go to in all the sacred places in Italy will be open. You see, it'll be very, very special, along with, of course, the art, the museums, not just the culture, but let's get down to things like gelato. We're going to have fun with food. We're going to see more than you can ever imagine. And traveling from the south in Italy to Florence brings you to the cradle of Renaissance, where you're going to be witnessing Michelangelo's incredible work and the buildings of the Renaissance period, the Middle Ages. Following on from that, you take this wonderful tour up towards Nice. Nice is incredible because it's the beach, it's the Mediterranean, and there we're going to learn all about their artists and their culture, perfume making, etc. Not forgetting, of course, that the Romans were in France as well. You travel on through Provence, you're going to get to the area that they had their arenas, their bridges, and lots more. Van Gogh, the artists in Provence. Cézanne, the artist, standing looking at the places that these people actually painted at. The food is incredible everywhere we go. And ACIS, why I've been working for them for so long is because the food is great, the hotels are all generally right in the centre of the city. You don't have to get anywhere before you're actually already looking at the highlights. If we do need to go anywhere, we always include the public transport, so you don't have to dig into your pocket for that. Marketplaces for lunches, free time, which is always really, really well organised. So free time means an adventure, but always in an area where we know where everybody is and we've set you off with some sort of challenge. Or some time to just go explore, take your own photographs. And from there, of course, from Provence, we leave the Romans behind, and Avignon with its huge palace of the popes when they once lived in France instead of Italy, and we continue to the absolute must on every program that anybody ever takes in France, and that would be Paris. Paris, we've just had the Olympics, and they beautified the city for the Olympics, so now you're going to get a city that has been left with a legacy 10 times better than you ever saw before. The Eiffel Tower, everything sparkling, and I can't wait to see you. You're a delight to travel with. Let's get on board. Bye!
So, you get a little bit of a taste of her personality. She's just one of those infectiously positive people, and she makes the trip so much fun. I do remember 2 years ago meeting her, and we landed, and she was so full of energy, and I was so tired that I was like, this lady, oh my gosh. But by day three, when I had caught up and my energy was normalized, I came to appreciate how incredible she is, and I learned more about her. And she volunteers, and she goes to the Himalayas and helps people put in water wells and all that. She's like such an incredible person. Her home base is in England, but anyway, Libby, A+. We locked her down. So any trip we take, we got Libby. We have to. Okay. So just giving you some visuals as I wrapped up talking about what this trip looks like. We take the flight to Rome. This itinerary is both, I think, in the packet and on the website if you go to the website. But you can see day by day, what are we doing in Rome when we land? What are we doing in Rome the next day? What are we doing the next day? Oh, what is that location? I'm going to Google that, that kind of thing. We will see the famous Trevi Fountain which you've seen in movies, and it's supposed to be good luck. You throw a coin and your wish is supposed to come true. You see that in a lot of different movies. We are going to visit, the Colosseum. Again, as I mentioned, gladiator battles. They would even fill it with water and have like fake little navy battles, and you see that in the new Gladiator movie. We will visit the Vatican, which is just super special. Even, I'm not Catholic personally, but it's awe-inspiring to see all the stuff that they have there, all the art, like the Sistine Chapel. And we will see the Roman Forum, basically the sort of the ruins of the Roman Empire, who are from 2,000 years ago, but had a real advanced civilization that lasted for like 1,500 years. And we will see the Duomo in Florence, and you'll be able to get tickets to go to the top if you want to. And if you know about the Renaissance really started in Florence, which was a big art and culture movement that spread all through Europe, and it started in Florence, and you see a lot of connections to that when we go to Florence. And then we'll travel to the south of France, and on the way we'll see the Leaning Tower of Pisa. This is where it's like new to me. I've never seen this stuff, so I'm super excited, especially for Nice. So this is Nice, not pronounced nice, but pronounced Nice. And we will be able to swim in the ocean if students are comfortable with that. It's their choice. We'll rent bikes. This is probably like a chill atmosphere where we get to relax and just catch our breath and recharge our batteries. And then we'll start to make our way up a little bit towards Paris, stopping at Provence on the way, which looks to me like a Roman, leftover Roman ruins. You see how advanced, 2,000 years ago, they're building aqueducts to move water around that are still standing today. That's pretty incredible. And they have their own arena there. You get a little glimpse of a different arena. And then we will arrive in Paris. I think this is our high-speed train, by the way, so you'll get to go on a high-speed train. And you see our itinerary for Paris. And again, I looked at it and said to myself, gosh, they're counting the day we arrive on a train. That's not enough time. I want to add another day. So I think, if everyone's okay with it, I'm letting you know that I think we're going to add a day, which is going to be $300, and it will be an excursion to Versailles, and it will probably be like a dinner in Montmartre or something like that. Okay, just full disclosure so that you're aware of what's happening. We keep talking about this, and just so you know why I care about this, with EF Tours I went to Europe 10 years ago, different company. And it would be 7 p.m. in Paris. Maybe we're finishing a meal or about to have a meal. And they would say the bus driver has to get us to our hotel because it's an hour and a half in the suburbs of Paris. And you're like, what? So I'm going to lose from 7 p.m. to, maybe 11 or midnight. Maybe we were going to stay out late and do stuff. No, we have to because the bus driver's hours are going to run out. They can only drive for so many hours. It's a law. This is why centrally located hotels matter, because you say, well, our hotel's 10-minute walk from the Eiffel Tower. We don't have a bus driver. We're good. We can stay out till 10, 11. We can go to the top of the Eiffel Tower. There's all this flexibility. We're going to go up there at 10 o'clock because there's no lines, 10 p.m., and then we'll grab a slice of pizza on the walk back to the hotel. It just gives you so much flexibility. It's not just bragging, centrally located hotels. It's the fact that it doesn't make you lose 4 hours a day because you're worried about busing. Just more pictures of stuff we're going to see in Paris, and we'll take a river cruise, and we'll go to the top of the Eiffel Tower, and we'll see the Louvre, which is the most famous art museum in the world. And we have all the tickets are prearranged. She's got them in her hand. We don't have to wait in line and obtain tickets. These are past groups. This is from 12 years ago. This lady here, she's not a part of our group. She just hopped right in there. That's why we're all looking at her who are you? I've been doing this for a while. You'll tell me I look exactly the same, right? I haven't aged a day, even though that's 12 years ago. I've been doing this for a bit, and it's just so much fun. I mean, some people say, why you're going to travel with 30 high school kids? Absolutely. I mean, to see Europe and to show them, it's so exciting and so much fun. Top of the Eiffel Tower. I'm going to go through this stuff quicker, okay? And I've already kind of told you that I think I'm just going to do that, and I hope you're already in for so much dollars. What's another $300, right? You don't want to leave Paris and be like, dang, that felt like we didn't really get to do all the stuff we wanted to do. So adding a day, I think, will definitely allow us to see Versailles, which I think is super important and a big highlight of a lot of students' trip to Paris. And we will rent our bikes there, and we will picnic there, and I will show them the secret spots. And the food is fantastic. In Europe, you want to eat on the sidewalk. You don't want to be inside a restaurant. You're going to grab, to be on the list, grab a baguette and eat a French baguette. Have a macaroon. You got it, it's on the list. Did you do it? Check it off. Have a crepe. I already talked about breakfast and dinner being included. You know, get creative, try awkward food. If you're scared, have Burger King, I guess. But on the list is also like never have McDonald's on the trip and never have a Starbucks on the trip. So again, you don't have to follow the list. It's just for bragging rights. Like have a local coffee. You know, try their coffee. See how you think of it. This is the list. This is like an example of a list from the past. You can see stuff on there. This is like London. Take a picture in a red phone booth. Eat Indian food in London. Stay awake during Wicked. You know, don't fall asleep. Eat a blood sausage. Have British tea. So just little things to get them out of their comfort zone and trying different stuff. And then back to the United States. So, I mean, obviously you're here because you value travel. Perhaps you traveled. It just changes you in a way that's hard to describe. I was talking with a parent right here saying it both makes the world feel smaller when you go back and larger, like all at the same time, but you have this better grasp on when you see the Olympics in Paris and you're like, I know that, I was right there, I saw that, they were building that, oh my gosh, I know where that is. Suddenly the world is a more understandable place. And we also encourage our students to like try to speak some of the language. I don't go there knowing a lot of French, but I'll leave with 5 phrases at least, you know. I'm the American, can I have a coffee? Merci beaucoup, you know. If you try, they appreciate it. I've never been treated rudely by the French. I know some people say like, oh, did you have a bad experience? Never. Everything is wonderful, always good, not a problem. So you really do come back a different person, more well-rounded. This part's for the parents, you know, health and safety stuff. I feel like, thank God we're on the other side of COVID, that I don't have to spend all this time on that. So you don't have to worry so much about COVID and like vaccination cards or anything like that. That's gone away over the last few years. So no worries with that. You will need to get a passport if you don't already have one. And there might even, actually, I don't think there's any fee to enter. If anybody here, every year I have somebody sign up and I find out later, oh, they're not a US citizen. So if that's the case, make sure that you have a conversation with me because you can still go, but there's just a bunch of hoops you'll have to jump through. They've always gone, these other students, but it's work. You gotta like contact some embassies and get permission and stuff. So just throwing that out there. I mean, I don't know what to say. You'll get to sign up for like insurance plans that will protect you if you were to like lose your bag, or if you need to cancel the trip and you can't go anymore and it's 2 days before, you can get all your money back if you sign up for some of these insurance plans. But essentially, I don't want to repeat this too much, so I'm looking for new information. Tips are also included in the price of our trip, so you don't have to like bring any cash to tip anybody. It's already been done, included in our price. And again, everything is paid for really, but lunches. That's about it. Again, I'm only looking for things that I have not already mentioned. So you get this automatic like basic coverage protection when you join. And I mean, the best way I can say is don't add insurance if you feel like I'm definitely going to go. Like there's nothing going to stop me from going. But if you do change your mind like a month before, they're basically going to make you buy the insurance to get the refund back. You know, you'll have to buy it then or you buy it now. And there'll become a certain point, actually, in January or February, where they're going to be like, hey, tell your people this is their last shot at buying insurance. So I just want to be transparent. If you are like, we're good, we're going, then save yourself the money and go, and don't buy the insurance. But if you do feel like something could come up, then buy the insurance to give you the flexibility that you could cancel a couple days before and get all of your money back. But there does come a point in time where they're like, they need to like be on or off, or they're going to like lose money. So please, you know, be aware. I don't want anyone to lose any money. So just make whatever decision works for you with insurance. It's way easier for me when I see you have insurance because I know, like, you know, no matter what happens, everything's going to be okay, and no parent will be mad at me. You know, but if you don't have insurance and you're talking to me, my dad and I, they're talking about dropping, and I'm like, you're gonna, you know, you got to prepare that you could lose some money. So buy the insurance if you think you might change your mind. It just says that lunches and souvenirs are the only thing not included. This is the price I negotiated down from to $55.83. I told you I want to add a day, so add $300 to that. You're at $58.83. It's a little bit cheaper because this is if you do like auto pay. If you don't do auto pay, then it's $50 more. But there's all kinds of flexibility with the pricing, so you can pay it all on a credit card. You could just tell them like take it out between now and how many months we travel, just take out that amount each month so that I pay for the trip by the time it happens. You have the flexibility to do whatever you want. But I do say that if you want to go, try to, you know, sign up, you know, today, please, but sign up before October 1st, let's say September 30th, because they will raise the price because they're giving me these discounts. I told them I'm having a meeting, like bring the price back to what it was 6 months ago, like be nice for me. And they're like, okay. And then it's not just a sales pitch. Like, they do raise the price. It will. You can check on October 1st. It will be, I don't know. It looks like they're saying it's $400 off right now. So I would expect that it could be $400 more on October 1st. So I would just say give the trip some thought and think about it. And if you're interested, sign up in the next couple weeks so that you pay the best price that you can best possibly pay. Okay? Yeah.
Do you know when the total price is due?
I want to say that they want you to try to pay the whole thing by late February, and I often have like 30% of the group that hasn't paid yet. And I just kind of talk with those kids. Are you still going? You know, they're pressuring me. And then we just kind of say, oh, you need like 2 more months. Can you have a conversation with them? And they'll work with you, but they need to talk with you and know what you're, you know, are you going? Are you not going? If you're on auto pay, it's like no questions asked. Like, we're good. Like, your spot is secure. Everything's safe. But if you're not on auto pay and it's like, I can see, oh, you haven't paid in like 4 months. Like, I don't know if you're going. So I want to say late February is like when they would prefer the balance be paid. But I'm not exactly 100% positive. Yeah. And then there are different levels of insurance, just so you know. The really good insurance is $500. That is like 2 days before you cancel, you get every cent back, but minus the insurance. There's also like a mid-tier insurance that's $350. I kind of don't recommend that one because 2 days before, if you cancel, I think they give you almost like cash and store credit. And it's like, what are you going to do with store, you know, I jokingly say store credit, but ACIS credit, what are you going to do with that? You're going to travel in college with ACIS? I mean, maybe, but probably you'll just lose that money. So I recommend if either don't get insurance or get the real good one, but it's your decision. You could still cancel and get all your money back with the mid insurance. You just have to check the dates. Like, maybe you need to cancel within 30 days instead of 2 days. So if you want to have that conversation with me, we can like look it up. This is everything I said about the automatic payments, the different levels of insurance. Yeah. If you want, I think it's already on your yellow paper, so you don't have to take out your phone and snap a picture, but I have like a Google cell phone number where you can text me. If you have a quick question, you can text me and I'll text you back. Again, it's on the yellow paper, I think, towards the bottom. And this whole presentation and everything else that you have is at that tiny URL website that I sent you. We have a Remind group that many of you are in already. If you know that you're going to travel, please join the Remind group today and make my life easier, because sometimes I'll need to text you, hey, did you get a passport? You know, and it makes it easier if you're in the Remind group. Sorry, I see you writing it down. It is somewhere on the yellow paper too, towards the bottom, I think, of the bullet point list. And don't worry too much about the Google Classroom yet. I don't think we need to worry about that. If you have a yellow paper, why don't you put a slash through the dates? I think we're going to do June 9 to the 19th. That would be the modification. Okay. These are topics that sometimes I forget to mention. So roommates, pick your own roommates. They are, you know, boys with boys and girls with girls. You can travel with a friend, and I will make the rooming match happen. You could travel without a friend, and I can attest to, like, you know, you have kids going who don't have friends, and by the end of the first day, they've got like a friend that they're going to hang out with the whole trip. That's just the way that it goes, and you make best friends. So you don't need to have a friend to go. Of course, it doesn't hurt. The beds are your own beds, as I mentioned. You know, please behave yourself on the trip. Be aware there are behavior expectations. Even if you're 18 years old and you're going back to your room with a bottle of Jaeger or something, you know, that's a problem. Even if it might be legal. In Europe, I need you on this trip to behave yourself and follow the rules, even if you're a graduated senior. We can have a conversation about a glass of wine with dinner months from now as we get closer to the trip. I know that, like, some of the seniors, I let the parents, like, agree, and they did sometimes have a glass of wine with dinner. The last group was a little much, they weren't really digging the wine. They took a sip and they're like, we're good, but it's up to the parents' discretion, and I also would want to get a pulse on how the group feels about that at all. If the group wasn't into it, I wasn't even going to do it on the last trip, and the parents told me, we would like you to do it, and I was like, really, can I get a thumbs up or thumbs down? And every parent gave me a thumbs up. So the way that it worked on the last trip, I think 3 out of the 10 dinners, I said, tonight you guys can order a single glass of wine. And most of the time, it was left behind 2/3 of a single glass of wine. But, you know, to each their own. You'll have some free time, so send a child who's comfortable and independent enough to handle that. But again, they'll be with groups of 3 at least. You'll need to get a passport. We will have meetings. Probably I won't see a lot of you again until 2 weeks before we leave. We'll have a meeting that's like, all right, I've already collected your like I know what your passports look like. Here's what to expect. Here's what you want to pack. These are the kind of clothes you want to bring. This is the size luggage. You'll see me again when we plan for departure. And of course, you can always meet with me and call me, and we can talk before or after you sign up for the trip. We'll talk at that meeting about pulling out cash or using credit cards over there. Chris, what did you do? Did you pull out cash here? Mostly card. I just use my card there. You know, you don't need much cash in Europe, just like in America. You don't need much cash. You can use your card everywhere. The Olympics are over, but Paris is beautiful because of it, so we get to see Paris when it's perfect. And the price, I hate to say that they will raise it. I know for sure it's not a bluff. It will be higher on October 1st, so just be aware of that. I am ready for your questions. Do you have any questions for me? Yes? Visa if you are not a U.S. citizen, but otherwise, no. And if you're not, just have if the student does not, just have a conversation with me, and I'll show you how to do the process. Yeah, okay, not relevant, okay. I had a student from China last year who was here on a green card, and she had to get a visa. So if you're not an American citizen, you have to jump through some hoops. Yeah.
Are they flying out of LAX?
Yeah, they are flying out of LAX. Yeah, good question. That is a random additional cost too that I always forget to tell parents. The company expects us all to like drive down to LAX independently. That's chaos. I would never want to do that. You don't know me super well yet, but I'm very like, And so we will put some money together. I think it comes out to about $50 a person, and we'll rent a charter bus that will take us from Roosevelt to LAX and then from LAX to Roosevelt again. So that is, you reminded me of an additional cost. I want to make sure we all arrive. That for a teacher, the most stressful part is the airports, because the kids don't know the rules, and they got the liquid and the laptops and the shoes. Are the shoes on? The airport's always changing the rules. Oh, don't take their shoes. So I want to arrive there together, go through security together, and all be in one group. So be aware, maybe another $50 that I'll collect like in May or April towards a bus that will take us to and from. That's a great question. Any other questions? Yes?
About how much spending money do you think in addition?
It's really hard because everybody's so different. Like the family values of, I have kids that spend so much because they just want to. People buy Louis Vuitton bags in Paris because it's cheaper in Paris, which I'm sure that it is, but the reality is I can go there, and I don't buy a lot of souvenirs. I can spend, like $300. What do you think, Chris?
I think about 300, last night.
Okay, so I'd say that's right around somebody that doesn't spend too much. You're buying a few souvenirs, you're buying yourself lunch, you're at the airport, you want a soda, you're like maybe $300-ish. But I've seen kids spend over $1,000 even on a single purchase. And that's just like, wow, we come from very different lives, but good for you. I'm happy for you. Way to go. You bring that bag back, and you got it in Paris. The reality is like required, mandatory, $250, $300, that's probably enough to squeak by and do whatever you need. We don't even have to pay for bags on the airplane or anything like that, so not too much. Really, lunches and souvenirs. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to add is we all joined the WhatsApp, and almost all the parents also joined, so you get to see, like, we're
Yep.
constantly in communication with all of our students, and so you get to basically see from home, like, oh, they sent a picture, oh, they're going, they're meeting at the Eiffel Tower, so it's
Yeah.
come along for the ride
That's a great point.
with your child.
Yeah, so are you familiar with WhatsApp? I just use it because it's like popular internationally, but with WhatsApp, we'll create a group chat and we'll type in the group, breakfast tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. and then if you want to skip breakfast, just make sure you're at the bus by 8:15 and like all the details of that. And then we're going to hit, Versailles. And as a parent, you can see that and kind of be aware of what we're doing. We drop any group photo we take, we drop in the chat so the parents, because sometimes the kids, they don't communicate with you back home in America. And plus we're on different clocks. And so at least you can keep up with what we're doing because you get to see the chat and you can follow along.
Students will tell us, like, we say, meet at this spot at 2 o'clock, and then one of the students will say, I'm running 5 minutes late, so we always know where everybody is. And
Yeah, don't worry, don't panic, but we're stuck in a restaurant and one thing with Europe you learn when you're over there is they're very slow to like bring you your check. It's not like in America where they push you out of the restaurant. They expect that you want to be there for 2 hours. So we have to teach the students cultural things like you have to ask for the check. You have to ask for water. Like there are certain things that you're going to have to learn of how things work in Europe. And anytime they run late, it's often because they weren't assertive enough in asking for the check. Yeah.
What about at night? Is there like a curfew?
There is, yeah. I mean, the curfew varies because it depends. I know, how do I word this? I want the kids to have like the time of their life. So I'm never the guy that's like, it's 9 p.m. and like go to your room. So let's say we did get back to the hotel. On arrival days, we might get to the hotel a little early because it's so exhausting. You'll be a type of tired that you've never been in your entire life because of just jet lag and the time change. And so let's say we get to the hotel at 9. Oftentimes and it's communicated in the chat, you can hang out in the lobby of the hotel till 10. You park the bus and we saw the pizza shop on the outside. Go grab a slice of pizza, go eat in the lobby, hang out with your friends, drink a Coke. And then I expect you to be in your rooms at 10, and then I would do a room check. Great point. I'm glad you brought it up. And make sure, hey, you guys, everybody in here? Chris, you here? Roman, are you here? Okay, good. I don't see Johnny, and like Johnny's like, I'm in the shower, like, okay, Johnny's good. So I get a head count and make sure that everybody's there. You also learn with the group who to trust and who to keep a real close eye on, in the first few days. But essentially, the curfew is very well communicated. And most of the time, towards the middle, like people are so tired that it's not so much of a risk that they're taking off at midnight to go explore. But the curfew is super communicated, and it varies, depends on the location. Sometimes we might be at a hotel, there's really nothing to do outside the hotel, so it's like, don't leave the hotel, stay at the hotel. And they can never be in each other's rooms. Even boys going in another boy's room, it just becomes too messy the worst thing would be a boy going in a girl's room or vice versa. And so we just say, you don't go in a room that's not your room. You want to hang out as a group, come down to the lobby. I have no problem with that. So these kind of expectations are super communicated and made clear to the students. And I think that it's, never a problem. Did you want to stay up later than we were staying up? Because we're just you get more steps. Your watch is going to be like, you're breaking records. This week is incredible. You'll be hitting 20,000 steps on these trips. So you get a lot of walking in, so. Other questions? Yeah. Yes, and the company they're very careful to ask if I'm traveling with anybody that has food intolerances, and we'll go to a restaurant and they'll say, who's the student that can't have nuts, or who's the student that can't have, whatever it might be, and they'll get a different, who's the vegetarian, who's the vegan, and they'll get a special dish that is just for them. So those things are just I think the app or the website, when you sign up for the trip, even asks if you have any dietary restrictions. And if it doesn't, just tell me and I'll tell them. They ask me a bunch of times, and I'll make sure to communicate that with them. Especially, there's a difference between allergy and preference. So really, really communicate any allergy to me. And while we're on the topic, that's something, the only thing we don't take care of is with the airlines. So if you had some kind of allergy, tell the airline directly. I can't tell them, you don't want to get sick on an airplane. So, but otherwise I can make sure all the meals are safe depending on the requests. Any other questions? You guys are bringing up good things that I wouldn't have thought about.
Do the kids walk around with their passports?
No, like I teach the whole thing. So what we do is, I think I end up making 2 or 3 color copies of their passport. I carry my backpack with a packet of color copies of their passports where I protect it. And this is like, sometimes you go to a random place like the Louvre and they want all the passports. And so we say, well, here's our color copies, and they flip through it, and it's just like rules in other countries. And then I tell the students to lock up their physical passport in the hotel safe, and we teach them, how the safe works, and certainly do not carry it around on your person day by day. But then there's the whole, we're going to get on the bus, and we're leaving, and we're never going to see this hotel again, so then, show me your passport. I don't want you to have left it in the hotel. So we kind of have a system, and it's in the chat, don't leave your passport. You'll need it to get on. We won't let you on the bus tomorrow morning unless you have your passport. Stuff like that you just learn over the years, that could be an issue. So good question. I also have them, take a picture of their passport in case they ever need it while they're out. At least they have it on their phone if they're not carrying their physical passport. Any other questions? Yes? I don't. So you're mentioning that on there's a potential extension. I think the website would let you add it. I don't know a lot about it. I don't often have students choose to do those things, but let me look into that. There's some optional, like, do you want to stay longer and go to some additional destinations? And it's on that color packet. Oh, by the way, while we're talking about it, how many of you guys are going to be graduated high school when you go on this trip? All those seniors, right? So you have the flexibility. If I wasn't leading the trip, I would stay, but you can stay behind. You can just tell them, I don't want my flight to be that day. I want to stay in Paris 4 more days. Okay, well, you still get your plane ticket. We'll push it 4 days ahead. You figure out where you want to stay. You know what I mean? So there is, I love this about them. They'll work with you, whatever you want to do. So just for your own knowledge, you can choose to stay longer. I would prefer you be a graduated senior if you make that choice, or be like with a parent or something, or 18. You know what I mean? I don't want like a sophomore or a junior staying behind. But yeah, I don't know the price, but I bet when you're on the website and you're signing up, it's going to tell you what the price is, and you have all the freedom. If you want to add that extension, you can. Yeah. And if you want to just like, you know what I wouldn't go to London. I stay in Paris for 4 more days. That's just me. Paris is amazing. You don't live, I love Paris so much. London for me is like, it's fine. I don't know. But Paris is like so special to me. But you have the flexibility. I'm just saying, if you don't want to do it through them and you just want to get her own hotel like off to the side and just, yeah, you can do that. You can absolutely do that. So
The additional fees, is that?
what's that? To stay?
Okay, right, I agree.
Does it say something like
Is that
ultimate?
applicable?
Let me see. Okay, so the additional fees is like if you're an adult and you want to go, like an adult being not a high school. You can be 18 high school, not an adult. But if you're an adult and you want to go, it's $100 more. But realistically, if you're an adult and you want to go, you're going to be in a double room, not a triple room like the students. And so there's a double room fee. Maybe you want to be by yourself. There's a single room fee, just so that you know. Also, maybe just you and your daughter's friend are going, and you just want them to be in a room together. You can pay a double room fee and ensure that there's no third person. So there's like, honestly though, I wouldn't worry about that. A lot of times you end up in doubles for free, so why pay for it? Just roll the dice and see what happens. And then it has the 2 types of insurances, and there's a dinner cruise. I wouldn't sign up for that, but we're gonna do a cruise with no dinner, and to me that's enough.
So that's just an adult who's going, that's not something.
No, there's no additional fee. Nothing more than. There is a fee to change your plane ticket if you want to stay behind. I think it's like $100, but that's totally worth it. I think. If I was a graduated senior, I would think long and hard about possibly staying in Europe for another few days. You're not going to have me, but if you can trust them and you want them to have that independence, and they're going to be there with a friend or 2 or 3, I think that's a really cool thing that they offer. Again, I think it's $50 or $100 to change your ticket, and that's it, plus whatever nights in a hotel you want.
If there's a student from another school that isn't.
That's a good question, yeah. So I guess I haven't talked on the whole wide variety of people that can sign up. You'll have to, talk as a family. I don't want to step on any toes, but moms and dads can go if you all agree that you want to do that. I often have an age limit on these trips where I don't want youngins to go, but it's a lot easier if mom's going and my son who's a senior is going and we want to bring my freshman son too. Okay, well, that's fine. That's certainly easy. Or how about my friend goes to Norco High, or my friend goes to Chino Hills High School and they're a junior. Okay, tell them they can come. That's fine. Just, vouch for their character, make sure they're not some knucklehead or anything. I'm sure it should be fine, and I'll probably talk to the student and make sure they're okay. But it is open to bring your friends. Just communicate with me so that I'm not looking at the list of who signed up and I'm like, I don't know who this is. They're not at Roosevelt like I looked. So just communicate. My friend is going to sign up. They go to Norco High School. They're a good kid. You're not going to have a problem with them. They're my same age or whatever it might be. Okay. Any additional questions? I'm going to stop my recording. I've been recording this whole time if you didn't know that.